Hello everyone, this is Jordan Dobbs here, WKU student, doing a textbook analysis for my SEC 352 class. I'll be analyzing essays from 50 Essays, a Portable Anthology, edited by Samuel Cohen. So here are the essays I'll be analyzing. Women's Brains by Stephen J. Gold, Lost in the Kitchen by Dave Barry, and There's No Unmarked Woman by Deborah Tannen. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the standards and see how well they go with these essays. As you can see, all but one essay met every standard that I checked, specifically from the key ideas and details section along with the craft and structure section from the standards. And so overall, these essays are really useful for 11th and 12th grade students. Why There Is No Unmarked Woman didn't meet standard 11-12.25. The structure, well, basically, I'll go over the standard first. Analyze and evaluate the effectiveness of the structure an author uses in his or her exposition or argument, including whether the structure makes points clear, convincing, and engaging. Basically, the author of There's No Unmarked Woman, the structure of her essay was really complicating and would be really ineffective for the reader. And a lot of her essay just seems unclear at times, and most people, especially at the high school level, would have a hard time understanding this, so that's why her essay did not meet this standard. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to further analyze specific standards from the chart I made, and I'm going to interpret them by using some analytical thinking strategies that we've learned in class. So, for standard 11-12.1, cite strong and thorough textual evidence to support analysis of what the text says explicitly as well as inferences drawn from the text, including determining where the text leaves matters uncertain. So my question, using strong and thorough textual evidence, what is the main purpose of There Is No Unmarked Woman? The main purpose of the essay is to show that everything a woman does, whether it's an action or simply applying makeup or putting on some high heels, is watched and marked by others. So some quotes from the book. Gender markers pick up extra meanings that reflect common associations with the female gender. Not quite serious, often sexual. There is no unmarked woman. Basically what this is saying is that people associate feminine words with being sexy instead of serious, and the style of a woman defines her. No matter what she wears, she's still going to stand out. So the second quote, the range of women's hairstyles is staggering, but a woman whose hair has no particular style is perceived as not caring about how she looks, which can disqualify her from many positions and will subtly diminish her as a person in the eyes of some. This quote is saying that women have no standard hairstyle, and if they overdo it, they're judged, and if they just don't care what their hair likes, it looks like they're still judged, which really just shows the main idea of this entire essay. And the third quote goes along the same lines. It has a lot to do with how women are marked. Okay, so standard 11-12.4, determining the meaning of words and phrases as they are used in a text, including figurative, connotative, and technical meanings. Analyze how an author uses and refines the meanings of a key term or terms over the course of a text. So my question, what information can we use to determine the meaning of words and phrases as they are used in the essay Women's Brains? Okay, so here's just an example of how a word which would be really unfamiliar to most is simply explained and defined in the following sentence. The writer did a good job with this. He met this standard to the T. He has anthropometry here, and he obviously defines it right after. So this would be easy for the reader to determine the meaning of this, what would usually be an unfamiliar word. Okay, so standard 11-12.6, determine an author's point of view or purpose in a text in which the rhetoric is particularly effective, analyzing how style and content contribute to the power, persuasiveness, or beauty of a text. So my question, what is the author's point of view in the essay Lost in the Kitchen, and how did the author's style and content contribute to the power, persuasiveness, or beauty of the text? The point of view for this essay is written through the eyes of a father who has conducted his own scientific study, actually, on the uselessness of a man in the kitchen, particularly during Thanksgiving. Okay, so quote. All these quotes contribute to the power and persuasiveness of this text, and it shows his style and the content he used. Men are still basically scum when it comes to helping out in the kitchen. This was actually the very first line of the entire essay, and it really just lightens the mood. Normally, a word like scum would be a pretty bad word to use, especially for a guy reading it, but since it's a guy that said it, it doesn't seem so bad, and this really lightened the mood for the entire essay. I'll go down to the third quote. Surrounding Arlene are thousands of steaming cooking containers. She quickly becomes enshrouded in steam. This is he's using imagery here to pretty much explain why men are afraid of the kitchen, and this really just shows his style, and this adds to the effectiveness and the likability rate for a reader when he's reading an essay like this. So now we're going to move on to diversity. I'm going to look at the diversity dimensions of these essays. So first of all, There Is No Unmarked Woman by Deborah Tannen. The first question I had is, how often is the physical appearance of a person mentioned in this text? As you can see below, there were 3 women mentioned. Woman number 1, her hair was mentioned 4 times, her makeup was mentioned 4 times, and her clothing was mentioned 3 times. Woman number 2, as you can see, hair 4 times, makeup twice, and her clothing was mentioned 6 times. Woman number 3, her hair was mentioned 4 times, makeup 6 times, clothing 5 times. My second question is the age of these people represented in the essay. The age for woman number 1 was not represented, but you can guess her age because woman number 2's age was represented and woman number 3's age was represented once each, and one was represented as being younger and one was older, so you can figure that woman 1 is somewhere in the middle. And some elements of thought from these questions. All the information and the data that was collected was strictly from the observations of the writer. So everything I got was only from what the writer saw. She was sitting at a table looking at these women and explaining how they looked. I've concluded that the writer included the age of the people in the story to give us more in-depth visualization of what physical appearances they would have. So she told us one lady was older and one was younger, so that gives us a kind of sense of the style they might have. Woman's Brains by Stephen J. Gould. I had a couple questions for his essay. How many times are the intellectual abilities of females and males mentioned in the text? How many times are the intellectual abilities of females and males mentioned in the text in a negative manner? As you can see, males' intellectual ability was mentioned 7 times, and only one of those times was it mentioned in a negative manner. Females, on the other hand, their intellectual ability was mentioned 16 times, and they were surprisingly mentioned negatively 11 times. So 11 out of the 16 times they were mentioned at their intellectual ability, it was negative. So I've developed a concept from this essay in which different doctors have developed different theories about the intellectual ability of men and women. For example, Paul Braca in the essay says that men have bigger brains, therefore they're smarter. Gustave Le Bon says that women have brains similar to gorillas and we should neglect their intelligence entirely. On the other hand, Maria Montessori says that women are intellectually superior to men, so that really just shows the different aspects we saw this essay from. Although the essay is written by Stephen J. Gould, most of the essay is seen through several different points of view, like I said. Okay, so Lost in the Kitchen. Is marital status ever mentioned in the essay? Is parental status mentioned too? If so, how many times? Marital status for men mentioned 8 times. Parental status mentioned 6. Marital status for women mentioned 8 times. Parental status 6 as well. Gender expression is often mentioned in the essays of all types. Does Dave Barry use gender expression in this essay, and how many times? He does use it. For men, he uses gender expression 8 times, women twice, and actually a child uses gender expression once. When I see that a couple is named together, like Arlene and Jean, I assume that they are a married couple in this text. Also, when children are mentioned, I assume that the children are a product of these couples mentioned in the essay. The purpose of the gender expressions used in this essay, they're to further express the feeling that the writer has towards each gender, really. Okay, so moving on here, Lexile measurements. Woman's Brains, 1250 Lexile. Lost in the Kitchen, 1220 Lexile. There's No Unmarked Woman, 1010 Lexile. Just to compare the average Lexile measurement for grades 11 through 12, the low average is 1070 Lexile, and the high is 1020. So really, it met the Lexile measurement average pretty well. And here's a graph, because we all know we love graphs, and it shows the 3 essays Lexile measurement to the average. So there's that. Here my works cited. I'm not sure why it wouldn't indent. It just wouldn't. So I hope you've enjoyed my textbook analysis, and I will see you guys later.